Hello crafty friends, I'm Lien from Studio Cato and I'm so glad you're joining me again today. Today is another Merry Monday here on my YouTube channel, which means I make a Christmas card every Monday on the lead up to Christmas. And I love this one. I have had this idea for a while now and I finally found a stamp I wanted to try it with. This is an image from Jane's Doodles. This is the Saint Nick stamp set and it has 2 Santas in there and 2 reindeer. I am just using one of the Santas here. And I stamped it in Memento Tuxedo black ink onto Clairefontaine DCP 250 GSM cardstock so I could color it in with my alcohol markers. I sped the coloring up quite a bit in real time. This took me almost 20 minutes to do. It was definitely the most time consuming of making this card. The card comes together really quickly. I think I spent 45 minutes in total on it, so it's a really quick card to make. I just spent a lot of time coloring this image. I'm using the Deco Time twin brush markers, and as you can see, I scribbled them off on the side of my paper to figure out my color combinations. I have the most basic color combinations that I use a lot memorized, but when I want to switch things up, I just try them out, swatch them out onto a scrap piece of paper. Overall, this coloring is very straightforward. I just used some Christmassy colors, some red, green, and blue, and for the beard is the only thing that I switched it up a little bit. I added some dots with my mid-tone marker so I could add a little bit of texture there. It's something I do a lot when I color in gray beards of gnomes or of Santas. I just like that little added touch. Now all that's left to do is color in the bag he's holding, and then I can move on to fussy cutting this out. Jane's Doodles doesn't have matching dies available, but this was really easy to fussy cut. Now for the mechanism. I wanted to make a wobble card, and you have action wobbles available from, I'm honestly not sure which company produces them. I will find them and link them in the description, and these will work better, but I figured I'd try to make my own mechanism. And I'm showing you here in pieces of cardstock, but I made it out of acetate. Now what you need is 2 strips of acetate. The length doesn't really matter, just make them long enough. You can always trim them down, and you want them to have the same width. And then you just fold them over one another repeatedly. I always tape them together at the start, and I always tape them together at the end before I trim them off. For the acetate, I used very strong double-sided adhesive. I wouldn't use glue for that. And for this paper, I just quickly used a glue dot runner. And there you can see you kind of get a spring. Now, if you make this out of acetate, the spring will really reactivate when you get it out of the envelope. It will pop up again. With paper, if it's sitting in an envelope for too long, it will just fold shut. It won't spring up again. So now the mechanism is done, I can assemble my card. I die cut this Deco frame by Mama Elephant from the Deco oval frame die set, and I cut that out of craft cardstock. I saved both pieces, so I'm just gluing the frame down there right onto my card base, and then to prop up the inner piece, I just used a piece of cardboard. I find cardboard really sturdy to do this with, to use as a dimensional adhesive kind of thing. And it doesn't weigh as much, or it's not as heavy as layered pieces of scrap cardstock. Now I wanted to already glue my Santa in place, or my Saint Nick in place, but I remembered just at the last second to stamp a sentiment. And this is also from that same Saint Nick stamp set, and I'm stamping that in Versamark ink right onto my card, and I'm embossing that with Wow Bright White Superfine Embossing Powder. Once that's heat set, I can add Glossy Accents, which is a really strong adhesive, to the back of that mechanism, and I am making sure that Saint Nick is on straight when the mechanism is relaxed, so when it's popped up, because that's how it will be when the card is displayed. So you just press it down very lightly and wiggle it in place till you're happy with it. For the background, I just added a bunch of little dots of snowflakes with my white gel pen, and I also added in a little piece of ground or a little bit of snow under his ice skate. And then I played around with the mechanism for hours. That was probably the most time spent on this card. I think I played with him wiggling around a lot before I started to move on to the envelope. And for the envelope, I'm keeping things really simple. I have a bunch of Christmas or holiday related pattern paper, and I'm just trying to use it up at this point. So if I make another Christmas card, you will most likely see a pattern paper envelope. It's not even because I'm lazy at this point, it's because I need to use up some of that pattern paper. I have too much of it. So that's it, that's the card. I really love how he wobbles, and I really love how high he is propped up even when the mechanism is just relaxed. I hope you like this card. I really do. It's one of those clean and simple cards that just has that little touch of something extra. If you like this card and if you like this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up on this video and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to read them. Of course, you can also subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.